Welcome to Author's Tales, where we go beyond the words and into the heart of the storyteller.
Every book holds a story, but beyond the pages lies something even greater: the journey. The long nights, the countless rewrites, the moment when doubt whispers and passion shouts back louder. This is where authors share their truth, the struggles, the breakthroughs, and the moments that made them believe in their story.
If you love a great story or dream of writing your own, you're in the right place.
Because every book has a voice, every author has a tale, and the best stories, they don't just get told, they get lived.
This is Author's Tales, where stories come to life. Chip, good morning. How are you, my friend? How's everything?
Great to see you, Rafael. You're looking just so you're glowing with the passion of what you do. I love watching it.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And we're going to definitely be talking about this incredible book that you wrote.
Thank you.
And we are an Author's Tales, and you are the author. And I am so blessed that I got my hands on your book. I have so many questions because when I read a book, it really it brings me into something. But I also want you to share what's important for you and why you wrote the book. So my first question to you is, what was the turning point that inspired you to write Unity in Service and to turn it into both a book and a movement, if you will?
Well, I had to write the first two books to even believe I could write a book.
Mm.
I was in remedial reading. I'm dyslexic and ADD, and they always put me in the dumbbell class.
Uh-oh.
And it wasn't until I was in my 40s I learned that I was dyslexic. And when I did the test at Johnson O'Connor Foundation, found out I was in the upper 98% of creativity. So I can't write and spell, but I have the creativity. So I'm blending those two together. That was what was required for me, because this book, Union Service, has really been in my mind for years.
Mm.
I just have watched, maybe you have too, this sort of degradation of our society and our communities. We become more polarized and more polarized. And we've allowed the press and we've allowed politicians to use that leverage to energize the extremes, and then a lot of the moderates don't participate, and that's a real problem from my perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely write about the divide, if you will, in our country. What do you see as the greatest barrier right now? Because it's getting crazier by the day, right? And how does your service help anyone overcome it?
Well, the barrier today is that we have demonized each other. In other
Mm,
words, if I'm a Democrat and you're a Republican, you're the devil reincarnated, and vice versa.
mm,
And it's because of a couple things. One, the echo chambers that we spend our time in, the media. Very few people will listen to two or three different outlets, and the politicians exacerbating it, and then social media. Someone described as a termite that's eating away at the foundation of our culture, which I thought was a great metaphor.
oh, I love it myself. I think I have to write that one down.
So here we are, polarized, and the only way I know to break down differences is to work together physically. You can't do it online. I mean, online you can make some progress,
Right, right.
as I may have mentioned before in our conversation, I started a thing called um, Keepers of the Flame for Vistage chairs from around the world who've been doing for 10 years, and very diverse politically. But we have one mission. We're working on something together. And I think when people get involved in community activities, whether it's Habitat for Humanity or some towns have Paint Your Heart Out, Des Moines, where they go and paint old houses, and you're part of something bigger than yourself, and you feel like um, what you're doing is more important and you're making the community better. And that dissolves those differences, and you begin to humanize instead of dehumanizing people you don't agree with.
Mm.
99% of the people are really good people, and most of
Without
them
a
do
doubt.
the same thing.
Yeah,
But
I 1,000% agree.
yeah,
Yeah,
if you watch TV, you think we're 99% bad and 1% good, and the only good ones are the ones reporting the news.
right. Yeah, yeah. Can you share a story from Unity and Service where community service brought people together who normally would never connect? Um, and I know that you just talked about that. We have to come together, but what's a story that you have seen for yourself in person?
Well,
That will
personally, I can, aside from Keepers of the Flame, I'm on the board of Tampa Bay Watch.
mm,
I'm chairing it right now. And Tampa Bay Watch is a wonderful organization that teaches people about the Bay, about the ecosystem. We have a Discovery Center on the St. Pete Pier. If you visit St. Pete, you need to go to the Discovery Center and then go on a ecological tour, a boat ride where we go out and show people the bay and bring things up and show people seahorses and pufferfish. I mean, it's just
wow.
fantastic. And then we have another branch that restores the bay.
Mm,
And we volunteer and create oyster reef balls that we then plant along the seashore, and oysters grow on those. So see, the people that do it are diverse
mm,
politically, but we're there together working, and we learn
mm,
to respect each other. I don't have to agree with you, but I have to see the humanness in you, and I have to um, in order for us to compromise, which is really what democracy is about, we have to learn how to have a conversation and listen actively,
mm,
and that's really what unity and service is all about: is breaking down those barriers
mm.
and getting, it's, Bo Jackson, who's a great football player, baseball player. I watched an interview of him, and he was being interviewed about his mentorship. And the interviewer said, what do you look for in a kid to mentor? He said, well, they have to have gotten off the couch.
Oh, wow.
And, in other words, they're out there. And I think that's what we have to do as adults, as citizens who should care about this country, because it's the best one going. We have to get off the couch, turn off the TV, with all due respect, turn off the computer, and go out and do something to contribute to make it better.
Mm.
I don't know if I answered your question or not. I kind of
You
rambled.
did. No, no, thank you for that. But it leads me to the next one because responsible citizenship is at the heart of your message, if you will.
Right.
So how do you define it, and how is it different from what most people think about citizenship? Because they think I live in America and this is it. I'm a citizen of here, but they're
Right.
not being responsible citizens.
Yeah. And I'm gonna get taken care of. I don't have to do anything. It's am I renting this country or am I part of it? And
Mm,
no, as one general said, nobody ever washed and rent a car. And I think there's a lot of people that think that they're renting this country.
mm,
And and I'll answer your question, but as I mentioned in an earlier conversation about Deb and I just did 5 loops of the U.S. and to see how people treat the country was somewhat depressing. Um, and it's not everybody, but so what is a responsible citizen? Well, the responsible citizens understand that they're part of the this the country. It's not, I guess a good metaphor is we're all shareholders. The United States is, think of it as a public company, and all of us have one share, and we vote our shares. We
mm,
we vote would be metaphoric for a public company. It was the board of directors and the CEO. We vote for our political leaders. So voting, understanding that we have a mutual commitment to each other for safety and for mutual defense. Without that, you really don't have a country.
right.
Then it's educate yourself on who to vote for. I mean, it's not just my brother-in-law thinks Bubba's good, I'll vote for Bubba. It's how long has Bubba been in office? Has he done
Mhm.
anything? I mean, how many politicians have you heard? I just need one more term to do the things I said I'd do 20 years ago. You know, it's like,
That's common, right?
wait a minute, show me the, results. So doing that, then teaching the next generation about their responsibility,
Right.
getting out in community service, running for office. There's just so many things that we can do, but the most important is understanding it's my country.
Mhm.
I'm one shareholder, and my investment in the company is my sweat equity of working in the community, of doing my due diligence on who to vote for. Um, then we have the laws that make this country so great. You hear over and over one of the things that makes the United States the place to invest is because of our rule of law. We're
Mhm.
not going to let people rip you off.
Right.
Um, and that's very important. So having that infrastructure of laws, and then you know insisting on and help building the infrastructure that we drive around on.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
I guess democracy is a do-it-to-ourselves project, and
Mm.
we have the country we deserve.
Yeah, yeah. When we think about so many people don't feel like their voice is heard,
Hmm.
and that I've heard it consistently. Like it doesn't matter if I vote, it doesn't matter if I'm part of the community. They'll take care of themselves. My voice doesn't matter. And so when people think that way, is there value even in what they're thinking? Because if they think their voice doesn't matter and their neighbors think their voice doesn't matter, and so on and so on and so on, whose really voice does it matter?
Well, we know that in the presidential elections, about 66% of the people vote. You know,
Mm.
so let's say roughly two-thirds, plus or minus percent,
Right.
each election. And we know that in the midterms, where we're electing all of the House of Representatives and a third of the Senate, less than 45% of the people vote. And in many of the um, local elections, it's in the teens.
Right.
And and here's the reality: your vote has as much power as anybody else's, unless there's voting fraud going on, which I don't think there's a lot of it. Your vote means as much as Donald Trump's vote or Kamala Harris's vote. Your votes are equal. And it is your responsibility to take this valuable asset you have, your vote, and invest it in the future of the country. And thinking that you don't have any influences, you really don't understand democracy.
No, not at all. I wish we can play that message that you just talked about voting a billion times over, so that we can bring the numbers up, so we can make the change. Because we want change, but we're not willing to go out there and even one vote, your vote makes a difference, right?
Yeah, no, it's the future. Um, in my book, I talk about life cycles of a democracy. I have Alexander Tytler's um, outline of that. And when you begin to think you don't have any power, you begin to get lazy, and then you begin to turn over more and more to the government. And the more you turn over the government, the less influence you have, the less freedom you have.
Mhm.
And we're on the verge of that. And I was fortunate. I spent a lot of time with Peter Schutz, who's the former CEO of Porsche. He's deceased now,
Mm.
and he would study Ishak Adizes, and he had the same model, but it was life cycles of a corporation. If you lay one on top of the other, it's very much the same. I started out with Sears. Sears was the number one retailer in the world by 2.5 times. It's
Mm.
gone now,
I
and largely gone because of success. We're the biggest, so what do? Instead of taking care of the customer, we build the world's tallest building at the time. That has nothing to do with the customer. We built layers of bureaucracy. Gee, that's a familiar theme. And the bureaucracy was about the bureaucracy. Once again, it wasn't about the customer.
Mm.
And that's where we've kind of evolved to here in a government. But we can go back and look at Sears as a model of, wait a minute, look what let's learn from that.
Yeah, right. Pay attention to the customer, the person even buying the product.
Yeah.
And as a citizen, America is the product, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. We are the product. It's like we're the problem, we're the solution.
Both at the same time.
Yeah, right. There's a book. I don't know if I have it right, but oh yeah, I have it.
I have it right here. Go ahead.
No, this is another one.
Oh, the other book.
This is not. This is an old book. How come every time I get stabbed in the back, my fingerprints are on the knife?
Ooh.
That's what.
That's a powerful statement right there.
Jerry Harvey is the author. I spent a little time with him. Brilliant guy. Unfortunately, he's gone too. But yeah, look in the mirror. I mean, yeah. You've worked a lot in your practice of, the great meditation it takes to fight the way. The game is always the me in the mirror.
Oh yeah,
that's where it starts.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about unity, if you will, because we need to unite. But there's always conflict. Sometimes it's louder than we really want it, and some people just want to follow the noise, and they're not honing in on themselves. What do they really want in life? So, how does your book teach readers to shift focus from division to collaboration?
Well, it starts with getting out of the echo chamber, out of your silo, and being willing to have a real conversation with somebody, and listen. And there's been times where I thought I knew the answer, and I'll sit down and listen to somebody who has a different perspective, and we'll get done with the conversation. I'll go, you're right. Or the two of us will say, well, this extreme isn't right, and this extreme isn't right, but here in the middle is a way to move forward. So the unity, I think, comes one person at a time, and then participating in the bigger conversation. David White is the poet that really ignited my flame.
I have that book. I have that book, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
You mind if I love the word respect is more than a noun. Go ahead, you can expand on it, but that was pretty good.
Well, it's just that the quality of the relationship is based on the quality of the conversation. Mm-hmm. And as a nation, we're not having a conversation; we're having a food fight. And we've become the ununited States of America. And I think the way we get back to it's one-on-one. Since I saw you, I wrote a poem. It kind of relates to the answer. Can I?
Of course, please. Absolutely.
All right.
If you wrote it, I want to hear it.
All right. It's called Micro-Validations. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. English proverb. Microclimates, microbiomes, microaggressions. We live in a microclimate. Microbiomes live in us, and microaggressions are part of life. What we need more of are micro-validations, more micro-affirmations. We've become trapped in our silos. We've become contemptuous of those who don't agree with us. They must not be human. Our country, our cities, our friends have become divided. We can't keep distancing ourselves from each other. We must all hang together, or most assuredly we will hang separately. Benjamin Franklin. Our children, our grandchildren need us to hang together for their future. A healthy democracy requires its citizens to work together to remain free. We need to see our interdependence and break down the barriers that divide us. We need each other. Start with macro validations. Open the door for someone and say hello. Talk to your neighbors. Look people in the eye and acknowledge they exist. Reconnect with each other. Affirm the humanness in everyone.
Wow. Powerful poem. Thank you for writing it.
Yeah, I'll send it to
I
you.
want to I want to encourage everybody because we are going to put this up on the screen, right? Um, if you think about, you can get this book, Unity and Service. This one's right here, right? And the cool thing about the book is that it does give you a pathway to being a responsible citizen. So there's a QR code. Take your phone out, click on it, get the book. It's on Amazon, and if you're not sure what it looks like, this is the cover, right? This is what the book really looks like. So pick up your book, pick up your copy, because you just heard a great poem, right, by Chip, and that poem really spoke to me when you read it, and I think that poem needs to be added somewhere, right?
It's on the
Um,
website.
it's on the
Go to
website.
the
There you go.
website,
It's on the website. And where's the website? I'm going to put it up so everybody can take a look.
unityandservice.org.
It's right there. It's going across the bottom of the screen. Everybody go to the website, read the poem. I'm so glad you said it's on the website because now I'm going to go to the website too, make sure I read it over and over. I can't just read it one time because it's such a powerful poem. And just like your book is, right? Sometimes there's something that we need to listen to over and over. So it kind of starts to sink in a little bit. And I think that's what your poem did. It captured so much in such a short verse, if you will. But then, of course, if you want more, get the book, without a doubt, right? Uh, Chip, you talked about having dyslexia,
Mhm.
and when did you find out that you were 98% creativity? You said 44 years old.
It's not 44. Yeah. Cameron was 44, 45, right in that.
Got it. Got
Right
it.
after
Got
I
it.
became a Vistage chair and I was invited to go through the um, Johnson O'Connor Foundation
Hmm.
screening or aptitude test. So 2 days. It was very intense.
So
Very.
how did you even get to that test? Why were you invited?
When you're running a Vistage group, you have all these CEOs that you're in. Everybody wants to. I mean, I got a book a week just about. I want to talk to your group. So this was a company that wanted exposure to the Vistage
Mhm.
CEOs, and they gave me a freebie, and I'm forever grateful because you know, I, I I grew up, and my dad was a principal. My sisters were all academic superstars, and I literally got kicked out of my first grade
Mm.
class. Mrs. Tuttle and I did not get along. So just because I couldn't spell. I can't. I mean, I still can't spell.
Mm.
Um, but what I learned was that I have this ability to write, and I just have to find really good editors. I got lucky and married a woman who um, edits menus. She's
Wow.
a she's a cardiologist. She's very bright, much smarter than I am, and she looks at something and she can tell it was misspelled, or gee, there should be a comma there. I'm going, I don't know, comma what? So I wrote the book, and then we edit it and edit it and edit it and edit it, and then rewrote it and edit it. And when you really want to put something out there, I think you have to be open for editing, and then um, had a professional editor. To me, Unity and Service is the most important thing I could do. My first two books were important, but I have a message. I have a passion about our country, and I want to get it out there, and I wanted to do the best I could.
Yeah. You also talk about the media and politicians and how we need to be more accountable. We talked about that earlier when you talked about there's so much going on that the only heroes that we're seeing is the people reporting the news, right? So how do we keep them more accountable as a citizen?
It's a great question, and I wrestle with it daily.
Mm,
Um, I think there's several things we can do. One is we can write a letter to the editor, or write a letter to the email. In today's to the broadcast company. When with the unfortunate assassination we had last week,
mhm.
we saw several people make really
Good
shameful
choices. Yeah.
statements. And I mean, I don't care which way you thought about Charlie. He was assassinated, and some people talked about how he deserved it.
Right.
And they got whacked. But I don't know how many emails or phone calls they got after the guy said it, you know. But it's voicing, and then if there's a network that or advertiser that keeps advertising, and they're advertising on a network that is not telling the whole story, um, send them a letter
Right.
and say, I'm not going to buy your product anymore. We
Mm,
have the power. Here's the joke. It's like, as citizens, we have the power of the vote, and we have the power of the dollar, and we
mm.
don't use it.
No. It's called boycotting, right? But people don't realize that they can do it, right? You don't need a group to boycott something. You just decide I'm not going to go to that store, or I'm not
Right,
going to buy this product from my family, for me, for my belief, right?
right. And then
I immediately remove somebody in my Facebook because I put a picture up of Charlie with his wife and his two daughters, and he's holding one of them, she's holding the other, and somebody put, he deserved the kind of deal. I was like, delete, and for some reason, supposedly they were my friends on Facebook, not
you
anymore.
just froze up,
Oh,
Rafael.
am I still there now? Can you see me?
You just froze.
I'm good. I
Okay.
see you moving. You can you see me moving?
You're moving now. For a
Okay, all
while,
right.
you were talking about the daughters and that you
Right. So
blocked.
I had put it on Facebook, right? And somebody, people made really nice remarks, and somebody said they cried and so forth. But then one person who supposedly was a friend of mine on Facebook said something like he deserved that kind of deal and FM, and I was like, delete and unfriend. Because how I don't ever want to be associated with anyone who thinks that taking someone else's life is right, no matter
Yeah,
what their belief is, right?
right.
So, yeah.
Right.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So yeah, do just and tell other people.
Mm,
If you, I don't want to mention the brands because I don't want to start any
right.
problems right now. But there's been brands where they've let people be spokesmen who are really anti-American.
Mm,
And I just stop buying their products. I'm too cheap to throw out the ones I already have, but I ain't buying anymore. And
right.
another company who supported the Boy Scouts for a century, stopped supporting them because they didn't like something about the Boy Scouts. And okay, I'm
Mm,
not buying any more of your product.
right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's we do have the power, but sometimes we forget, right?
Yeah.
And so how do we move forward, and how do we um, unite more? Because that's what to me, that's what your mission statement is. Let's unite. Let's
Right.
become citizens of this world, of this country, right? I think we have to become citizens of our own home first,
Yeah.
right?
Wow, that's an interesting perspective I hadn't thought of. Yeah, it starts with me. Back to the guy in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think it's one thing I've noticed, and I've been traveling this country, since the late '60s. Wandering around New York when I was in the garment industry,
Mm,
buying, till now, and people used to acknowledge each other. Even in New York, you'd say hi
mm,
to somebody and they'd say hi back. Now, when I walk, I go through different games. Sometimes I'll go and I won't say anything to anybody and see if anybody recognizes me. Then I'll go by and I'll say hi to everybody. So this kind of mental, let's call it field test.
Mm.
And the number of people that are disengaged with each other is frightening. We've become isolated, and therefore, go back to that, we dehumanize.
Mm.
The woman that got stabbed on the train in North Carolina,
Yeah.
with people sitting there and not doing anything, is probably the most
Horrific for me.
horrific, but a statement of the times.
Mhm.
And then of course the legal system, the guy on the subway in New York who tackled the guy who was threatening, other people, he gets up being having to defend himself. I'm sure it costs millions of dollars.
Mhm.
So the system is the challenge. But let me go back to, I wandered off.
That's
Start
okay.
start by validating. My micro validations. Open the door for people. Say hello.
Mm.
Listen. Um, I'm 6'2", so I'm wandering around the grocery store sometimes a little late, trying to get something on the top shelf. I just stop and get it for them. So, is
Mm.
there anything else you need from the top shelf? Acknowledge people's humanness. Help each other. We need each other. It's so interesting how many people think that food comes from the grocery store, that milk comes from the grocery store. It comes from cows, and somebody's up at 4 in the morning making sure the cows get milked.
That's right.
And somebody's driving a truck to bring it in from New Jersey. So
Mhm.
understand that we're interconnected and we need each other to survive and thrive.
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm.
Micro validations.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. One of the things that, and I like this part of what you talk about. There's two parts. I'm actually going to open up the book, and there's another part that I marked is what does an irresponsible citizen look like?
my, my wife and editor kept telling me to take that out, and I thought,
I
no,
like it. No, I think it's
thank you.
great. I love it. I love it. What do they look like? Irresponsible citizen. Let me see. I was in New York City yesterday and I saw so many who were responsible, who were kind. And then in the same instance, I saw people who were rude, not nice, throwing things on the floor. Meanwhile, there's a garbage can 3 feet away. So, so I love that part, by the way. So, what does an irresponsible citizen look like?
What page are you on? I want to make sure I see
Sure,
all the
no
right
problem.
ones.
I'm on page 77.
Got it. Doesn't vote, and this is the in the order I put. Votes the party line.
Uh-huh.
Is unencumbered with the facts. Doesn't take time to think critically about what is being told to them
Mhm,
by the media. Has just one source of information or listens to only one podcast or perspective.
mhm,
Lets the party or talk shows tell them what to think or think for them. Never gives back to the community and takes their freedom for granted.
oof, that last one. That
Yeah,
last one hits home for
that's
sure.
where it starts, isn't it? I didn't think, that's really number one, isn't it?
Yeah, kinda. But they're all so important, and I love when I saw that, and I was like, "Ah, I gotta ask him about that." The other one that I want to bring up is, and I gotta tell you, it will change a person if they had to do this, right? And you say one tool to do is to have mandatory civil service for 1 year for 18-year-olds. Not go to college, but have that mandatory, or maybe college and that at the same time, right? Why is that uh, important in your view?
Well, a number of levels. One, I see it as a gap year. A lot of kids that have, they take a year between college and high school. So now it's a gap year where you are giving back to the country,
Mm,
doing CCC type projects. Some of your listeners may not realize that many of the national parks were built or improved by the CCC. These civilian conservation corps people went out and made the roads. They built dams in Caldwell, Idaho, where we stay on our transits, we were out walking on this reservoir that was responsible for holding the water so they could farm this part of Idaho. It
Mm.
was built by the CCC. I mean,
Wow.
there was a man, and I was really surprised. And what it does is, let's call it sweat equity. Remember, we're talking about each one of us
Yeah.
is a stockholder. Well,
Mhm.
when I started my companies, and I didn't have any money, I just worked hard, and that was called sweat equity. And I feel much more attached to something that I've worked hard for. So it bonds us to the country, but it also, and the design. I've been very loosey goosey on the design because I started with a eight eight-page chapter or essay on the design, and I realized, let's just break it down to the basic concept because it's going to get moved around. But you leave home, but you go, like, if you're from Long Island, you go to Omaha. If you're from Omaha, you go to San Francisco. So you begin to see the whole country, and you have a diverse group of people working together, and those begins to break down the barriers. You realize they're all human.
Right.
Most of them are good people,
Mhm.
and we there's been some loose things written about World War II because of the CCC. When World War II came to us, because these people had been working together, we were more prepared to work together to save the country and save Western civilization. So, and then the other thing it does is it gives you perspective. When most kids, when they graduate from high school, have no idea what they want to do. Well, if you go out and work in different projects, and at some point, the first might be a boot camp where we do team building and break down the barriers. Then might be, one month or 1 week of recycling the things we find along the highway.
Mhm.
And then maybe you'd have a choice of working in a hospital or rebuilding roads. I mean, this country needs road rebuilding
Oof, big
desperately.
time. Big time.
There's a million things. Building houses for homeless.
Mhm.
There's so much that needs to be done in our infrastructure. Um, it's I'm sorry, this picture went in my head. I just think of driving around the country, and so were times I felt like I was in a third world. It was so messy. So I think if we did that, that would break down the barriers that were dividing us now,
Mhm.
and we would be more proud of the country. And I
Yeah.
will guarantee you that within 10 years, trash in the highway would be
Uh-huh.
gone.
Yeah. I love
Yeah,
that. I love
yeah.
that.
It's culture.
Yeah. Yeah. You talk about the structure. You talk about all these different things that would help not only youngsters understand that the world that they live in is theirs,
Hmm.
but I think they don't see it that way because they're looking at video games. And a lot of people talk about the youngsters of today don't know what it was like growing up like you and I did.
Hmm.
And maybe they never will. But we need to bring them back to understand that they need to belong and they need to participate if they want to live in a better world. And maybe they're not even thinking about their own kids, but eventually they're going to have kids, right? And what world do they want their kids to live in?
Yeah. Well, I think this getting out and working on a project that's bigger than yourself is
Mhm.
part of it.
Right.
And I think that in designing the 1 year of required service, there would be some civics course in it, including exercises that would demonstrate how civics work.
Mhm.
Like you could elect a cadre president every week or every month and see the difference in how it works. Um, but yeah, it's you don't. Wasn't there a song, you don't know what you've got till it's gone? That's something like that. And
That's when the pain hurts. That's when the pain starts.
yeah, right, right. And I just saw a quote that came through about the kids today or the kids in the future will not know what they're missing in terms of freedom, because it goes a little bit at a time.
Yeah. Wow.
So I think it's getting back to this whole idea of um, working to make the country better will make your life better.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. In the book, it includes the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States, and the Gettysburg Address, all worthy of review. Why did you decide that to put them in, to include them so people can read it again
Or for the first time.
or for the first time? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think that the Declaration of Independence is the foundation, and the preamble and the beginning and all the things. It gets a little long at the end, talking about King George, what a idiot he was. But um, yeah, I think it establishes for the people, by the people, and the pledging. This is what so few people understand, and what I believe we all have to remember. They pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor.
Mm,
Unless you're willing to do that, in my opinion, Raphael, you don't deserve it.
agreed.
Freedom isn't free.
Yeah, for
And then the
sure.
Gettysburg Address, I thought, was a great summation of where we were at that time, and the great breakthrough that was. But so many people don't understand the sacrifice that people made to free the slaves. There's some people who are making a living today talking about we're trying to enslave a certain group of people again. It's like,
Mm,
what planet are you from?
right.
But they're getting away with it because there's certain media outlets that will let them rant on about enslaving people.
Wow.
And I think part of what we didn't touch on yet is this victim mentality. So
Right.
not thinking that you're responsible for yourself makes you a victim. It's not my fault that I don't have a Ferrari. It's not my fault that I'm not on TV. It's not my fault that I'm not the starting quarterback.
Mm. When we think about the book, right? What's an action step that somebody can take, and what would you like and hope that it will be for them?
So what's the action steps that they can take?
Yeah.
Number one, today, starting right
Now.
now, start acknowledging people. Start validating them by saying hello, remember their name. I should send this to you. I don't know if you saw it. There was an Allstate insurance company did a study. It's fairly new. It's called the tipping trust tipping point study, and trust is the foundation of every relationship. Period. And it's talking about the diminishing trust we have in the United States. And I may have this statistic off a little bit. Something like 37% of the people don't know their neighbor.
It's
You're
true.
kidding me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just take time to get to know your neighbor
Right.
today.
Yeah.
And then I think it's so important to get out of the echo chamber and to go out and volunteer. I have a friend who's in his mid 80s who, after I
Mm.
had a conversation with him, and he lives in San Francisco, went and volunteered for Habitat for Humanity. And
Wow.
he can't climb up on the roof, he can't do all sorts of things, but he can go and help. And he said it's been phenomenal
Yeah.
by getting out. So get out, go be human, go participate.
It is life and go live it, right?
Yeah.
But be
And
part of the society.
yeah, yeah, that's what it
If
takes.
you
And of
want
course,
solutions, you're the solution. We're the solution.
yeah, how come every time I get stabbed in the back, my fingerprints are on the knife?
Man, I love that statement.
And I can look back at my life and think, yeah,
That's
there's some real.
that's really powerful.
There's a book by Richard Haas called The Bill of Obligations.
Mm.
Got it up here on my bookshelf. And, that's something that people might consider reading.
Mm.
because this is my country.
Right. It is our country. And I wasn't born here. I'm Colombian, but I came when I was 8 years old. And if I was told right now, you have to go fight for Colombia or the United States. For me, it's a no-brainer. I'm fighting for the United States. I adopted this country. Maybe it adopted me too. But I
Yes.
feel very connected here.
Yeah.
I have nothing in Colombia except family members, of course.
Right.
But I don't feel any alliance to Colombia, South America. But I feel very connected here to the U.S.
Do you think your life, you've had more opportunity here, and you've lived a better life here than you would in Colombia?
Probably, without
Yeah.
a doubt.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people who are thriving in Colombia,
Uh-huh.
some family members and so forth. They're thriving. So would it have been different? Maybe it would have been harder. But I don't know because I wasn't there.
How's- I have a friend who lives in the building. He's from Brazil
Mm,
and lived here in the United States, went back to Brazil, and then came back. Um, and he has a brother in Brazil, and they've done well. They're fairly affluent. And he showed me a picture. He said all the wealthy people down there have armored cars. Their cars are not regular
mm.
cars; they're armored cars.
It's a terrible way to live.
And he showed me a picture of his brother with a bullet had hit the window. Of course, it didn't come through, but if it come through, it would have hit him in the head.
Wow.
What a way to live!
It's not a good way to live. So,
That's why law and order is so important. And gosh, holding people accountable.
yeah,
We talk about in the book. You get the behavior you tolerate. We're in this country to tolerate some behavior that is way out of line, and
right.
that's our fault because we're not holding the judges accountable. We're not holding the politicians accountable. We're tolerating nonsense.
I have a family member who is a police officer. He was a police officer in New York City.
Hmm.
He got so fed up that he couldn't even do anything to anybody. He'd seen a crime, he couldn't arrest him, he couldn't do anything. And so he got out and now he's in Suffolk County, Long
Mhm.
Island, and he's much happier. And he's like, here, at least I can do something.
Mhm.
Over there, it's you can't touch him, you can't, everything. And he goes, what am I doing? I'm a babysitter more than a police officer.
Yeah.
So he got out because he saw all the stuff that was going on. And here, he's now getting into the political aspect of being a police officer because he's caring for the community as
Yeah.
a police officer instead of just being a police officer riding in his car. He's attending meetings. He's doing all these different things. They've given him different roles to play because he's actively in the community. And they're like, we want you in the community because you're standing up for the community. And that's what we need. But he couldn't do that in New York City for some
What
reason.
is that? I mean, it's just beyond the logic. I can't. Chicago, L.A., New York. I lived in Chicago for a lot of years. I grew up in L.A. area. It just it doesn't make sense.
Bizarre. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. Chip, when you put your head down at the end of the night, what's one thing that you're grateful for?
Well, I give gratitude for the day, and then I started a list years ago of 100 people, and now it's more than 100 people who opened the door for me. Is the way I describe it.
Oh, wow.
And I give gratitude for that.
Mm.
And I ask myself, who am I helping today? And I have, I'm mostly retired or basically retired, but I have several people that I'm coaching, being on the boards, helping the community. I give gratitude that I can still do it. In fact, this morning, it's interesting. I woke up. I was up late last night. I tend to be a night owl, and I have to get up early. So I'm thinking, I'm just grateful to be alive and be contributing.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. What an honor to have you on the show. It truly is. I love the spirit. I love the book. Everybody make sure, once again, here's the QR code. Go get, that's the book. Here's the QR code, right? So make sure you pick up your copy. Go to his website, right? It's actually, I'm going to let you tell them a little bit about the website and what they can expect when they
Ah,
actually go to it.
okay. On the website, it's unityandservice.org. We talk about the book, and I'm starting to put podcasts on it. There is a song that a friend of mine created after he read my book that is on there. It was created by
Nice.
AI. Of course, my poem, Micro Validations, is on there.
Nice.
And then I did a short video that we created just talking about what's going on in the country. So it's a place to go and check in. And we also have some information, if you're so inclined, to take how to be a responsible citizen, how to hold the government accountable. And it's there to start something, a movement. And please, if you feel the way I do, let's get together and talk and email or however we start. But nobody is as strong as all of us. And those people who love the country, those people that want to break down the barriers, those people that want to compromise, I call them moderate left, moderate right, centrists, who think this is the best country there is in history, which it is. We need to work together to save it, because nobody's going to save it but us.
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure you go to the website, right? unityandservice.org. Chip, thank you so much. Just hang on for a minute. We're going to say goodbye to everybody who's watching. Or if you're watching on the replay, hit replay. Also share this show with somebody who needs to hear the messages that were delivered today, because, wow, I'm going to rewatch it for sure. Thank
Thanks.
you so much, my friend. Thank you. All right. Everybody, take care. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching Author's Tales. Stay updated and meet new authors. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Sifu Rafael TV. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn, and visit our website. Your support means the world to us.